Hello and welcome to Discourse of Peacocks. I know it's been a minute, hasn't it? I apologise for not being on. I've not had a wonderful time at the moment, and football is my escape. And obviously, with the course of the results and other bits and pieces going on behind the scenes, I didn't think that it was right that I made a video when I wasn't feeling me. The last thing I ever want to do on here is to come across as something that I'm not. So I'd rather not record than record something that is fake. Another thing is that I am currently recording this off using my phone as a hotspot because I was supposed to get new internet today, which was going to mean like, yay, I'll be able to do live streams on this channel. But as has just been the case recently, my internet hasn't got in today because of other factors as well. So that's has hit another delay, and so I apologise. I don't even know if this will end up making its way out, but we shall see. I am going to try and make this as quick as possible because I haven't done a game review for 4 games. So I'm going to kind of do it the same as normal, but I'm not going to do it as in depth because obviously some of these games are now weeks ago, so it's kind of irrelevant. But I'm just going to give you my overriding kind of feeling on the games, and yeah, we'll go from there. So we'll get on to like good section or just yeah, we'll split it up into some kind of sections, but it's not going to be as kind of strict as usual. I didn't do the West Brom game because of the fact that when the game was on, I was only keeping updated on the scores via my phone, not actually watching the game live. I've watched it since, but you know that previously I don't particularly like doing game reviews when I've not kind of watched it live. I kind of feel like my reactions are diluted both in a good way and in a bad way, because of the fact that it's just not a live reaction. It's not. I'm kind of reacting to what other people are reacting to, not necessarily my own thoughts and feelings. Firpo, great goal. Dan James assist, I believe. Obviously, we didn't really play in the second half. And yeah, it was quite, I don't know, it didn't feel as good as it has done. And that's kind of a theme throughout these next few games, because obviously we then went on after an 8-day break, so it wasn't tiredness that killed us. I don't know. I'm going to get rid of the good because it's just it's a higgledy-piggledy mess, is this. So I think that I know that they all say that they don't look on social media, but they clearly do look on social media, and all of the betting odds, all of the pundits, every kind of media outlet that you can look at, other fan channels, other opposing kind of managers, all kind of say, oh yeah, Leeds are promoted this season. It's just a case of who's going up with them. And we've still got to get the job done. And I kind of believe that some of the players have believed their own hype. This is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. That's absolutely fine. But I personally believe that some of the players have believed their own hype and believed that we have this given right, because we are the most attractive team to watch in the league. And that isn't debatable anymore, because even Sheffield United fans, and especially Burnley fans, would come out and say that they won ugly, whereas the amount of times that we have won or gained points in an ugly manner this season hasn't been that many. We've been so dominant, as I'm sure if you look through all of like this season's videos of mine, the word dominant has basically appeared in all but a handful. So I do think that there is a lot of complacency that took part, especially in Portsmouth. I don't agree. I don't think that the long travel and the 12 o'clock. Was it at 12 o'clock? Yeah, it was on a Sunday. Yeah, so it'll have been a 12 o'clock kickoff. I don't think these, by the end of the season, I think it was Joe Donoghue put out a statistic that by the end of the season, Leeds United will have played a minimum of 13 12 o'clock kickoffs, 12:30 early kickoffs anyway, whereas Sheffield and Burnley will have done a minimum of, I think, 8. So when you look directly at our competition, if you don't look at the other teams and you just look at the teams that are in and around us, i.e. Sheffield United and Burnley, we're at a huge disadvantage because the crowds can't get going. People can't necessarily get to far reach places, Portsmouth, Plymouth, kind of extreme locations from the bottom, from obviously we're up north, going right down to south. And the same vice versa when they have to come to Leeds for 12 o'clock kickoffs. I think we've only won 2 out of those early kickoffs. So there again is some logic behind the fact that they are at, we're not benefiting from these decisions, but because Sky TV love Leeds United, and we are their money making machine, the football, the players, the fans, especially the fans, get sacrificed, and I think that has that has been the case because look at the last 4 games. We've had 3 early kickoffs and 1 evening game. And the only game that we won was the one under the lights. I think we've won every game under the lights this season. I might be wrong. I'm sure the last time I had a look, we'd won all of our games that were evening kickoffs, especially at Elland Road. But I would go as far to say as other than, we've not lost. We've not lost under the lights, but we've only, no, we did lose because we lost at Millwall. Anyway, ignore me. Besides the point. Out of our last 4 games, 3 of them are early kickoffs, and 3 of them, those are the 3 games that we dropped points in. We dropped points against West Brom, we dropped points against Portsmouth, and we dropped points against QPR. Now, QPR, I would caveat with the fact of, I'm not the only one, and in fact, I know that I'm not the only one. I think every single person that was commented on the QPR game said, when we went 2-0 down, oh my God, it's happening again. It's happening again. I can't believe it. I was so angry. Like, my husband and one of my best friends, we were all watching the game together, and I don't think they'd seen me this angry. I was so angry. I was shouting, I was swearing, I was screaming at them just to do something. It's kind of that, the meme where like poking with a stick saying like, do something. That was me looking at the Leeds players just thinking, what the hell are you doing? Yeah, I think that the fact that we didn't lose that game, yes, we should have on paper. All of these games, we're the top of the league. So in theory, every single game on paper, we should win because we are the top of the league. So in theory, we are better than every other team in the league. And yet we do drop silly points because it's the championship. And as Chris Wilder would say, the championship will championship. And it is true. It's the craziest league because of the fact that the discrepancy between the top and the bottom isn't as great as in the Premier League. So genuinely, any team can beat any team. If there was the financial support in the championship, then it wouldn't be the end of the world to be staying here. But the money is nowhere near where we need as a club to be. So staying in the championship is not an option for us. I think the fact that we showed grit and determination does show that we're different from last season. It does show that we have we've still got that fire in our belly. We're not, I apologize if you can hear my phone vibrating. It's kind of my diabetes. We do have that determination. We do have people who can grab the game by the scruff of the neck. I didn't believe in that game that I was proud of Farker for admitting that he was wrong with Aronson for taking him off. Again, I might be wrong here, but the last time that Farker made a tactical substitution, so not a substitution due to injury or cards or anything like that. A substitution for tactical reasons at half time, I believe, was Cody Drama in the Ipswich game last season, where he actually came on as the sub and then got subbed off at half time because of the fact that he was just so abysmal. And I am pleased to see that Farkham may be utilising another player in that number 10 position, because of the fact that everybody criticises Aronson for, well, all he does is run around. And I don't believe that that's all he does throughout the course of the season. I don't believe that that's all that he's done. But right now, that is all that he's doing. And it's hard to justify him being on at the moment, because he isn't doing anything. Yes, he got robbed of an assist against Millwall. The goal that Pirro scored, that beautiful goal, team goal. He was robbed of an assist, but then he then created a fantastic goal for QPR and gave them the lead in a game where up until that time we'd done everything other than score. You know, for me, in my opinion, we were on top. That goes out of the window, obviously, when Brendan Aronson assists for the opening goal. And for a good while after, they were on top, hence the second goal. I mean, the second goal, there's no justification for how many players were in the box, and yet I can't even remember who scored, but the QPR player that scored had so much space. He had so much space to get that header. It was abysmal defending by everybody, and I won't blame anybody individually. I think it was a collective mistake. I think we were shockingly poor defending in that situation. And going back to the Aronson assist, you know, I've seen a lot of people come out and defend him, saying, "Oh, what else was he supposed to do?" You know, if you don't know what to do and you're in your own box, give your teammates some breathing time. Kick the ball out. If in doubt, kick it out. There's a whole reason as to why that's a saying, and that is a dictionary definition of, if you don't know what to do, if you have no bright ideas, you are not defensively minded when it comes to keeping calm and being able to work your way out of trouble. Now, had that been Tanaka, I genuinely think that Tanaka manages to pirouette and do some funky little moves and get himself out of trouble. Aronson isn't that. He's not a technically gifted player. He's a powerhouse in terms of his speed and his lack of getting tired. But in terms of his technical ability, he is not that player. So if you are an attacking player and you are trying to defend, but you don't quite know what to do, just kick it out. It's all you have to do. And if one of their players come into him, the foul gets given against them and for us. Just kick it out. That's all he had to do. The fact that he essentially did a no-look pass in his own penalty box, absolutely unforgivable for that. And then he lost his head. We lost our heads as a collective, and we didn't regain composure until we got the goal back just before, 5 minutes before half time. Had we have not got that goal back, we do not come back in that game, in my opinion. We had to do something before half time in order to just give us a lifeline for the second 45 minutes. Obviously, we then score the second goal, you know, the equalising goal, fairly early on. I think it was in the 50th minute. And then we then did very little to actually test their keeper. We did very little to take the game to them when we were essentially back on a level playing field. We're back to the beginning of the game, 0-0, and we have a better bench, we have better stamina. You know, we've seen so many times where, you know, we have the Millwall game, for instance. We were hanging on to that game until the 85th minute, but our stamina our substitutes, our fitness levels basically gave us that final push over to get the second goal, where we all obviously then took a massive kind of uh, exasperated sigh, and we didn't do anything in that second half, which was disappointing. But I always attempt to look for the silver linings, and we came back from a 2-0 deficit. We came back in London. We came back in a place where our promotion dreams essentially were crucified last season, and we didn't lose. And right before the international break, all we needed was a draw to stay top of the table. We got the draw in a place where we historically struggle. And this isn't just with the players that we have, the manager that we have, the ownership that we have. We have struggled in London for decades, so it is not something that a draw, coming back from a draw, we haven't been winning and then dropped points in the last few minutes. We came back from a losing position and gained a point, and I do see it as a point gained. It was more than we got there last season. We gave more of a fight than we did last season. We just rolled over and had our bellies tickled last year. There are positive signs. There are worrying signs, but there are positive signs. I genuinely think we could be the team that gets promoted, specifically in a winning, champions of the league, by goal difference. I really do. I think that we could be that team. I mean, and yes, people will no doubt see that as a negative thing of, well, with this team, and it's this manager, it's these players, it's this, that, the other. I can't believe we've not won by more, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. But it'd be a really cool record to have if we won on goal difference. I don't know, I'd quite like it. Anybody who's watched me on anybody else's show, specifically Joe Blackburn's quizzes, I love a good statistic. I love a unique little fact, and I would love for us to be the only championship team ever to get promoted to the Premier League on goal difference, winning the league on goal difference, or even getting promoted on goal difference just in second. I just think it'd be quite a cool thing to do. The kind of the hindsight would make it amazing. The actual living in it and being so petrified that Leeds are going to Leeds it up, that would scare me. But what's life without a little bit of danger? I also feel the tiniest bit like I kind of maybe knew, and a lot of us fans who said, why doesn't Farke play somebody else in that 10? A little bit vindicated that not only did he play with Gnonto in the 10, he has then come out and said that he's given him a decision to make, that we might see Gnonto in that position again. Again, we should have gone out and got a number 10 in January. We should have got a number 10 in the summer. I think I understand that 49ers are in a quite a difficult position, because outside of the big six, there's very few teams in England that aren't in the top flight, that have a reputation where people will play hardball. And Leeds United, because we are Leeds United, do have that reputation. How many times have players that we were looking at over the last 2 seasons been in the Championship, and some bottom feeder Premier League club have come in and swooped in? Basically, we do everybody's scouting for them. They come in and pick off the players that they want. And that's why the 49ers stay so quiet, because A, they do business like that, but B, people want to be like us. It may sound arrogant and big-headed, and actually this is a massive hint to a video that I have in the work. I've got it all scripted. I'm just waiting for reliable internet to film, as to why Leeds United are such a big club. But I do think that works against us. Being in the Championship being a massive club works against you. Being in the Premier League, it will work for us. But there was no, we should have got a number 10. I'm not trying to backtrack. I'm not trying to defend Farker or the 49ers or anything like that. We should have got a number 10. We've had 2 transfer windows where we should have, in fact, 3 if you include January last year, because we needed competition for Rutter then. And anybody who has seen me on anybody knows how much I hammer on about competition. We have competition in all places other than the number 10 and the goalkeeper. And guess what positions we have really struggled with in recent games? Meslier less so, if I'm being honest, but we have struggled throughout the season. Let's face it, we would have been tough and clear had it have not been for certain results: Sunderland, Hull, Blackburn at home. You know, we've had a lot of games, there's, you know, where the goalkeeper has cost us. But we also had games like Portsmouth. We had enough opportunities, and if Pirro had not been having an off day and had have done his usual, you know, over XG performing, then we win that game. You know, if we get that penalty decision, which we should have got, it was an absolute blatant foul on Dan James in that Portsmouth game. If we get that, we score first, it's a completely different game. I do have my reservations in terms of, I hope everybody comes back in positive mind after the international break. I do hope that everybody comes back feeling revitalized, because what's that? A change is as good as a rest. And sometimes if they're playing different type of football with different people, maybe that kind of revitalizes them and rejuvenates them in order to just perform this final get over this final hurdle. But I am concerned. I'm not going to bull anybody. I am concerned. But I do feel vindicated with the number 10 decision. The fact that there are options there. The fact that, you know, I've been told that it would be stupid to make this decision now. And I do agree with that. This changing of the number 10 should have been done, you know, if we weren't going to go out and buy one, get Nonto up to speed, or to get a other player. I'm not necessarily saying it has to be Nonto. I'm just saying another player. We have to get them up to scratch and up to speed. And with the way that, because everybody will have to slightly adjust the way that they've been playing, because of the fact that Aronson has essentially played every single game. I know he didn't start every single game, but he has played pretty much every single league game this season. So everybody else will have to kind of get used to how another number 10 works. But it can be done. And I do think that Nonto gave us that spark in the second half he offers us something different as well, because the only time that Aronson shoots is when he's kind of pretty much on the goal line. You know, he scores very few goals the further back that you go, whereas Willie Nonto will cut in and take a shot from outside the box or just on the edge of the box. So again, that gives us some more attacking impetus in terms of taking the shot. Aronson's decision making when it comes to things like that, he's too safe so many times. That's why he doesn't have that many assists. You know, he's got goals, but when you look back at where those goals have come from, they've come from inside the box. They've come from very close proximity to the goal, whereas Nonto isn't afraid to take a shot from outside. And that's, you know, and he did have a few games where he wasn't scoring, but he did get something like 3 assists in 2 games or something. So if Nonto plays in a selfless manner, Nonto can be that number 10 that just gets us over the line. I'm not saying it's perfect, but we don't have a transfer window now, so we have to make do with what we've got. And for me, if we utilise the personnel that we have in the way that I think that we should, then we've got enough. You know, I'm confident that we have enough stuff. It's whether Farke can not be overly stubborn. You know, I was proud like to make halftime changes, and Aronson's face on the bench was not a pretty picture. I think he'd been gone through at halftime, and I think that Farke had been toying with that decision for a while, and Aronson's assist to the QPR goal, I think made up his mind for him. I think he left, and Brendan Aronson left Farke in a position where he kind of forced his hand. And I hope to see Nonto in that game again. Who are we? Is it Preston? No, Swansea. No. Oh my gosh, who is it? I think it's Swansea. Yeah. Yeah, because I've just tried to get tickets for it. I hope that he does something with Nonto. But I can also see the justification with 2 weeks break for Aronson to be used. Yeah. It's going to be interesting seeing that team line up against Swansea. I think we'll be able to see. And I would love for Nonto to be chosen, and then I would love for Brendan Aronson to force his way back in, because I think that says a lot about his character. I think if we only see Nonto for the rest of the season, that for me says Aronson's character has gone packing, you know, and we don't need that. I'm not saying we don't need him before anybody says I've got an agenda against Brendan Aronson. I'm just saying I want, in this final run-in, all of our best players last season throughout the rest of the season were basically non-existent, and we don't need that again. We need everybody who is on that pitch and who is on the bench playing a supporting role to be fully at it and to be fully invested. And if we don't have that, then we're going to struggle. And if we do have that, then we're going up as champions. I'm sorry that this was not structured. I've probably missed out so many points, but I have been trying to film this video now for 6 hours, and I had a mini structure before, but my computer crashed because my internet went down and everything just went off. So it's been quite stressful. I hope this is even recorded, because if it hasn't, well, this blurb is now relatively useless. Please let me know what you think. Are you confident? Are you anxious? Are you nervous? Do you think we're going to Leeds it up? Do you think people are overreacting and it's just made the league a little bit more exciting? I am attempting to think the latter. But sometimes, obviously, my Leeds United heart and brain and things just go, ah. So yeah, please let me know in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for being patient with me whilst I've not been around. It has not been a case of not wanting to be around. It has just been a case of my headspace, and also my internet has made it almost impossible. So thank you for everybody for sticking with me. I am going to do 2 more videos throughout this week for international break, and one of them I did hint at earlier on in the video. If you remember what I was hinting at earlier on, then leave the comment and say the word Yorkshire in the comments below, and then I'll know that you actually listened. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.